G'day, how are you? I'm Scott Carson, founder of Sunday Sessions and life assistant at Real Life with Scott Carson. And today, I'm with Lisa.
And I'm Lisa Jayne, having this beautiful conversation with Scott. I'm a co-founder of Bungee Global, and my jam is emotional evolution. I just love talking to people about their emotional navigation and how to actually take back their authority in their lives and feel empowered. And I actually approached Scott because I was really interested in having a conversation around how we can be in a relationship with people that are afflicted with addiction, how that impacts us, and is it possible even to be in a healthy relationship with someone that is afflicted by addiction? Because I've had quite a bit of experience about this, and I thought Scott would be just the man to have a really juicy conversation with. So we're both going to share experiences, and hopefully further down the track, you can be involved too.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm blessed that you've put this forward to me because it's something that in my life, and I think in life in general, it's something that's very prevalent for everybody. I don't think there's too many people getting away without some form of addiction issue, whether it be alcohol, gambling, sex, drugs. Addiction pretty much affects everybody. And in my eyes, it's an avoidance of self, a tool to numb, a tool to not deal with things. Because you're either, I know myself, I drank cocaine, ecstasy, whatever I could, live the life, and was an avoidance of myself, maybe.
What about the journey back to yourself?
Yeah, cool. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just had that thought last week about a very good friend of mine that just this amazing person totally knows exactly what he's doing and yet has still fallen back into this old pattern. And I'm just like, I actually had this this realization that I think this is how he is finding himself. It's like actually through that journey. Like Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in your way is the way, and I love that. It's like, so the addiction itself is your way to find yourself.
That is fascinating because self-acceptance and self-trust in my eyes is absolutely everything.
Yes.
And if you're holding shame and you're holding on to pain, you can't remove that. That's when the real trauma kicks in.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you don't own the space between your ears.
Mm.
And so I've had a different life that I'm really proud of, actually, to be perfectly honest, because I couldn't be me if I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to learn that, long time to sort of shake the shame and move through that. So it really started when I started questioning myself. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And to find tools, not to cope, but to be able to go through the process of finding out who I am. And I truly believe people only ever want to belong or just know themselves, remember. Yeah. So I didn't think we'd go this deep this quick, but that's okay. It's great, and it's life, and it's funny, it's a massive, it's not a stigma, it's a fear around addictions, and it's how people cope. Like I've got a beautiful mate at the minute, and his is gambling, and it's really heavy, and so much so that 2-minute noodles is basically his stable diet. And he's one of the most beautiful guys I know, but he doesn't hold his self-trust. He's got no value in himself. And I guess for me, I didn't have any value in myself, so.
True. self-love, isn't it? But
Yeah.
what's really interesting though, talking about that, is that, you know, like I've been so blessed to be in this experience of my friend's addiction. Like he trusts me so much that I'm seeing everything. And for me, that's been like, wow, mostly I know people afflicted with addiction are hiding things, but he knows his healing is to actually be open, and he trusts me enough to allow me to see things. And I have to say, I have just been absolutely like, wow, this whole, because while I've been with addicts, I've never actually had the experience of being in it. And this is somebody he's not even, I wouldn't even know when he's eaten last.
Yeah.
And what I realize is, because I'm a lot about what we often do, or what I did as a rescuer, was I would often abandon myself to, like in my first relationship with my ex-husband, who was an alcoholic, it was me abandoning myself to actually try and make it right for him. You know, like I expected him to meet my emotional needs, and I would always sacrifice my parts of myself to make sure things are right for him, so he still loved me, and so he still did what I expected him to do, which of course he could never do because they were my emotional needs.
Yep.
But what I've recognized is, through my journey, it's like when we abandon ourselves to help someone, it doesn't work. However, there's a time to rescue somebody. So often when an addict is in a place like my friend is at the moment, it's like he wants to get out of it. He hates being there. He feels shame, embarrassment. He knows he's capable of so much more. And I can see that he cannot do it for himself. But he has to be willing, and he's willing. And so it's appropriate for me to come in and rescue him. You know, whereas I think it took me a long time to learn it's not always appropriate to rescue, but sometimes it is, when people can't rescue themselves and when they're willing to actually make a change. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's epic. So, do you mind if we dive a bit further in there?
oh,
Just
not
so I
at
can
all.
get a bit under people understanding. Because, so what's his tool of numbing? How's it?
What's his?
Well, how does he numb himself?
So he has done a lot of self-awareness, like say 30 years, 35 years. So he's very, very good at watching his thoughts.
Yeah.
He's very good at understanding what triggers him. He can define his triggers. He can talk about his feelings. So all of the usual things that you would think um, would be the reason for somebody to pick up a drink or whatever.
Yeah.
He knows all of that, and yet he's still there. He's still there. And for me, this is so much learning for me when I work with people, because I'm like, why is he still there? He knows himself. He's incredibly self-aware,
Yeah.
and he works from loving kindness, and that to him is the most important thing. And yet he's still in this place. And I think I've come to a place where, just letting you in on the last couple of days, I've been really all these things I've been asking for solutions, and I think he has too, because we've both been going, why? I think part of it is the experiences that we put into our life every day. So I feel that in order for us, if we're in a situation of addiction, a lot of the healing is about not only going back and addressing what happened to us way back when, not being lost in it, but once we've done that work, it's like every day creating new experiences, new experience with new people, new experiences with different environments, experiences that don't continually affirm that old behavior. And it's almost like every time we do those new experiences and make those new choices, we're lessening the power of the other nervous system pathway through addiction. But it's a vigilance, right? So what happens is, when we get, and like I could be like this too, like when I work through something emotionally and I feel great again, it's very easy to like put down your tools and your resources and just go, yeah, I'm cool, let's go on with life. I really think though that the evolution comes when we don't put everything down, even though life is going great.
Yeah.
You know, when we consistently choose to hang out with people that uplift us and support us, when we consistently choose great environments, and when we live our purpose, you know, like really finding our purpose and living that, and focusing on that each day.
I'm sitting here eating it. I just think this is absolutely beautiful because that's what it's, for me, that's what it is. It's
Mm.
finding that purpose. And it's not, I don't know any addict that I've ever worked with or ever spent time with wants to be that.
Mm. No, me neither.
Yeah.
And yet,
And
other people that don't understand addiction go, snap out of it. You're not, and they're pointing the finger, and I'm like, judgment, like judgment and criticism. How can they ever add to a situation?
yeah, I,
Like, how does that help?
one of the big things, and like I've worked with some difficult people, and they're also the most beautiful people I've ever met. They're just in
Absolutely.
pain.
Mm.
I don't necessarily think you have to forgive yourself. I think you just got to accept where you're at,
Mm.
because there's nothing you can do about the past.
Mm.
For me, that was the biggest thing I had to let go of. The fact that 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 is me.
Mm.
I did that. I can run from it, and it can occupy a space in my head where I consistently go back to it with regret and guilt. And then I look for ways to remove that regret and guilt,
Mm.
pick up a can, start drinking again. You know, I
Mm.
haven't drunk for 3 years. I didn't bang on the date. I just made the decision that my son's life was too important for me that I wasn't going to drink.
Mm.
So, which is something for me that is really super important when you're working through the process. You need a reason bigger than yourself or the current reason that you're in the problem to move through it.
I totally agree. Leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this too.
Yeah. And it's like it's the single biggest key to anything is
Mm.
nobody ever goes into a situation and goes, do you know what? That's the best choice. That's the worst choice. I'm going to make the worst choice.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, sometimes you've just got bad choice and bad choice in front of you, and you got to
Yes.
choose between the two, right? So, allowing, like, today's talks about, you know, how you love someone with an addiction, and
Mm.
it's their pain that's
Mm.
allowing them to have that addiction, you know.
Mm.
And if you give them more pain, you're going to push them further down.
Yeah.
So, one beautiful, beautiful family that I've spent time with, it came down to just being appreciative of each other and owning the situation. The 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 son was is an ice user and heroin, and he was numbing pain of his youth that he's never gotten over because no one's ever really talked about it and helped him accept it.
Yeah.
That's a long-term project, but the immediate pain was that he knew he was hurting everybody in his family, knew it.
Yes.
And they do with every part of them.
Mm.
So when you walk into the family and they see you hurting, he's going in, he knows he's hurting them, he's getting all that feedback coming back at him without a word, because you don't need to say anything to have that put on you.
No.
Alan Stevens is 7% of communication is verbal, the rest is body language, tone of voice, everything else. So the single thing that we focused on was saying thank you to each other. Even when somebody is angry with you, and if you go back to the times where you see people that are really angry with you,
Mm.
you're close to them. You've gotten to know them well enough that they respect you and you've hurt their feelings
Mm.
in the most craziest of ways. Anger is a form of love because you can't be angry at somebody you haven't gotten to know and you don't care about. You don't care about that situation. Because if you didn't care about it, you wouldn't be angry. But what happens with that anger is it affects you.
Mm.
and it affects you and it festers in you. So you have to be able to shift it. And the only way to do that is, in my eyes, and through what I do and the experience that I've had, is gratitude and love and acceptance. Saying thank you. Someone's yelling at you because if you throw more oxygen into it, you throw more fuel onto the fire, it's going to explode. They don't have the safety net in themselves in the minute. They don't trust themselves. So
Mm.
they're trying to get it out,
Yeah.
you know?
So I love, you said that to me last night when we were talking a little bit about this, that you said thank you. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting, like I can see how gratitude helps, but I thought, and I actually thought about it a little bit. And now that you're saying that to me again, what I'm hearing is, I fully believe that the main human need is to grow, and what we love and what we thrive in is emotionally safe and deeply fulfilling and loving relationships. The way we get there is when we know ourselves well enough that we can see clearly where the other person is acting from their hurt and pain,
Mm.
and where we're acting from our hurt and pain. And when we can see that, we can make a decision about how we want to be in relationship with that person.
Yeah.
But saying thank you to them gives us the opportunity to go, oh, they've triggered this hurt and pain in me. I now have an opportunity to investigate that and to know myself more deeply. I have an opportunity to, rather than see myself as this person and the pain over here, I have an opportunity to go, all of that is me. How can I integrate all of this into me so that I can sit well with myself and I can continue to be loving and feel free in my life?
Yep.
Because everything is a movement of love, even anger, which is exactly what you just said, anger towards someone. It's the movement of love trying to bring us back to harmony. Suffering, it's the movement of love trying to bring us back to harmony.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And something I just enjoyed then was your eyes when you saw yourself saying thank you to someone who's hurting you. Because believe it or not, it's about you, how you are in that moment. If you're saying thank you to somebody, you're depressurizing yourself.
Yes, yep.
It's not because you cannot control what anybody else does. The only person you can control is yourself. And if you are managing yourself to your level of love and understanding, and it takes time, it takes work, and it takes, geez, you don't just wake up and know this stuff. You've got to work at it. You know what? You'll get it wrong. The most important thing is to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. It's funny. It's, like you see people that, the kids are addicts and they're at their wits' ends and they just don't know what to do, but they love them with every part of their heart. Everyone around is kick them out, kick them out, kick them out. Why?
Mm.
You love them. They're hurting.
Mm.
They actually need more love. That's the crazy part of it.
I want to talk about that because I totally agree with you. And I think that it's this, even just skipping back to what I was saying before about new experiences every day, it's not, we've got to get out of this framework that we have to do something to fix that person or we have to do something to make that right. Because what I'm realizing more and more, if I turn up as me and just I'm present, that is often enough for that person to go, oh, I feel connection, I feel safe. And in that moment, there's healing. In that moment, that's where the progress happens. not in me trying to give solutions or options or trying to help sort things out. And, it's just in that moment that you're present and that you're just there for that person and loving that person and loving who they really are, not the addict. You're actually loving that being in front of you for who they really are. And then they can remember that. You're reminding them who they really are rather than affirming this identity of addiction all the time.
Yep. Oh, look, this is awesome because my best bit of advice, and I'm going to give it early to go through, is if someone's hurting, you actually need to give them permission to feel okay.
Mm.
The only way you can give them permission to feel okay is to be it. Present in the moment. You can't be anything else. If you're looking anywhere else, you're not there with them. And it's not about getting in the box with them and, all the bits and pieces. It's about just being present, and it's, for me, it's how I open up conversations. I really want to thank you for showing me how you're feeling right now.
Emotional safety, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's emotional safety. And I'd love to pick up on what you just said then, because one of the things that I think is really juicy about this is, like, we're talking about it from the perspective of, the person in addiction.
Yeah.
I also want to share, though, as a person that loves someone in addiction, because these are great ways to be with them, but often that's challenging, right? So
Yeah.
I know that it's easier when you're not living with that person, if you're living with that person, or if they're your child. Like, that is really challenging. And for me, it all comes back to, like what you said before, it's the inner work that I do on me that allows me to see where I'm acting from wanting them to need me, or wanting to take responsibility for them. All the dynamics that I have set up with that person, the more work I do on myself, investigating where I'm coming from, and the more I know myself. And I think this is the point. Like, it's so easy to go, they're the ones with the problem, and it's because of them that I feel powerless. It's because of them that I feel frustrated. And yet, if you see every single thing, coming back to that thank you, every single thing is an opportunity for you to see, why is it that you're being triggered by that? Why is it that I feel powerless in this moment? And what can I do to take back my power in this moment?
I'm going to give you something that I share with guys that are having pretty big problems with their kids, and they're in pain. And I think it's a good tool in this situation as well. In order for you to not put your values and your crap, for better words, on top of an addict, you have to come to the plate with a different set of eyes. You can't go in there with, like, you're in pain, you see them in pain, they know they're in pain.
Yeah.
Go to the mirror, look in the mirror, and look at yourself and think about them. Feel the intensity coming out of you. Then raise your cheeks. Then think about them. Notice the feeling will change. I love where I live. I live in Frankston, Melbourne. We've got quite a few homeless. There's a methadone program also. So there's a lot going on, like Frankston Council took that on, and I'm glad they did, because it's, it gives people safety. But the reality is, not one of those people walking around the streets wants to be in that position with all that. Oh my God. Everybody's looking at them and they're feeling sorry for them, and their facial expressions, the weight that carries, the energy that carries, that puts more fuel onto them. I've taught my son from a very early age. Hi, how are you? There's nothing to fear. They're in pain.
Mm.
It's not yours, it's theirs.
Mm.
You never know how you'll change somebody's life just by giving them that smile, you know? And I mean, we're talking to the extreme cases, but I don't think there's a difference in application, because every single person, like last night, you and I had the most amazing conversation, you know, and you could probably feel it between us now, because like we both come from this place of love and genuine love for people. But it all started that with loving ourselves first, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
So if you have got someone that's got an addiction problem, your responsibility is not them. Your responsibility is how you show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank them for teaching you that you need to show up better.
Yeah.
And
And
that's, and
I,
that's
I'd love to add something there
yeah,
before we
please.
pass this point, because that thing of your responsibility is loving yourself more too. So it's like, if you can't, if you're there with that person and you're feeling powerless or frustrated or angry, that's saying to you, why aren't you loving yourself enough? Why aren't you loving yourself enough to actually address this? If I feel fear, if I feel insecurity, I go, why aren't I loving myself enough to investigate this and then do something about it? Because when I actually change, or not change, but if I take an action, I'm proving to myself I love myself. It's all about love. The more I love me, the more I can just be with that person. And what stops me all the time, what will stop me from being in that place, is not loving myself enough to, maybe I need to take time out. Maybe I need to not be in the same room with that person right now. Like maybe I need to go, I've got to go and do something for myself, or I might need to go for a walk, or whatever it is. Maybe I need to speak something. Maybe I need to say to them, I'm having a feeling. So even the communication, I'm having a feeling around this, and the feelings that I'm having, I'd like to share with you, because I don't want them to get in the way of how much I love you.
Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm listening to you right now, and it's the fear. And when you have fear and it's another fear situation, it creates more fear. And
Yeah.
I think in that very situation is one of the best ways to love that person,
Wow.
because they need the tools to be able to do it for themselves. So if you say to the person, you go, I really want to thank you for showing me how you feel right now.
Mm.
I don't think I've got the tools to deal with it right now.
Oh, yeah,
Is it
beautiful.
is it okay if we come back to this?
Yeah,
I love you enough that I don't want to put more on you.
yeah, yeah.
So by taking the responsibility on yourself for your own emotions, it's
Mm.
actually allowing them to do it, because every single person with an addiction, it doesn't matter what it is, it's just that they don't currently have the tools to deal with their situation. So they
Mm.
need to find them.
Mm.
The best way to do anything, if you think about the people you love, right? It's so hard to tell them how to do anything because they think they're failing you when you tell them how to do something.
Mm.
So don't. Show them.
Yeah.
Let your actions speak louder than your words.
Mm.
You know, like I don't like, and because I'm going to share this amongst, and I don't like talking about my father outside of close groups
Mm.
because it hurts other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went through a lot. We had a lot of bits and pieces go on, and I've done that much work on myself that I was able to sit with him with the view to only see him through a different set of eyes, because I hold the key to whether or not he passes in heaven and hell. Because I truly believe that if in your latter days, if your headspace is full of regret and guilt, nobody wants to be around you. And I truly believe heaven and hell are here on earth. If you do that, do the right thing as often as you can. You support people as much as you can. You have the conversations and you work on you, no one else, just you. Then in the latter days, people are going to want to be around you. They're going to want to say nice things about you. It's going to be a celebration, you know. And I think, like, my face is all intense at the minute because I'm just so committed to making sure that people pass in heaven, that people have those conversations. And this is one of them. Because if you can't come from a place of love, don't take it on in every aspect. And if you're dealing with, you know, if you feel that you haven't got the strength today to say, I can't do this, don't.
Don't do it. That's right.
It's okay to say no, you know.
And it's the practice of talking about it. Like, you're so true. We don't even teach our kids how to have these conversations. We don't. I mean, I'm sure you do. But like, I'm so passionate about what we don't teach our kids in school. Like, how to communicate this, how to actually say, I'm feeling resentment. I'm feeling resentful towards you, and I don't want it to come out at you. So I need to share with you what's going on. Conversations like that. Can you help me understand? And just, you know, like, just accepting that that other person is exactly where they need to be on the journey, even though we can probably see 1,000 other ways that they could do it better. That's actually where they need to be right now. And it's like, who are we to say that that's not where they have to be? I mean, how arrogant would I be to say, you know, you shouldn't be there in your journey? How do I know that? I don't.
No. And that is the most beautiful thing ever, because if we can accept where people are at and just say, do you know what? No matter what, this is your journey.
Yep.
I'm not responsible for it. But
No.
if you need me, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful words.
Yeah. Like I'm just here.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I have learned through failing so many times and so many things, and my skills come from that. And I often, I never wanted to be a father, and it really scared me. And, you know, my one true regret in life is I wasn't a loving husband to my wife when she was pregnant, because it scared the shit out of me. It's my true regret in life. And, you know, I say, to be thrown out of hospital immediately after his birth, just like I didn't see him for a week when he was first born. Yeah. And my wife's here on her own, and just I was so angry for so long. But the reality is, I needed to sit in that anger until I was ready. I had people around me slowly look after me, do bits and pieces. And it was my journey, no one else's journey. And that's the most important part of this. It's my journey. I'm now, and I just to have people compliment me on being a father, like, it just brings tears to my eyes, because I'm so scared of it.
Yeah.
But when you face that biggest fears, the ones that really hurt, the lessons you learn inside those biggest fears are the ones that really drive you in life.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about purpose and bits and pieces, and I truly believe that your purpose comes from facing your fears. Face them. Because on the other side of it, yes, there's more issues. Yes, there's more problems. But that's where the real lessons in life are.
And that purpose, like I've been thinking a lot about this, because the more I come to know myself, the more I realize that that is my purpose.
I agree completely. And it's the more
your purpose. We're all chasing this, even in business. You got to have a purpose for your marketing message. No, actually, you are your purpose.
I love it. I had a business coach who's more of a life coach, Mick Hawes, down in Tasmania, and it's just, you are your business.
There's no separation.
People buy you, and that's why it's so important to look after you in every single aspect of life. Your staff buy you. Yep. It's not about the money, it's about the you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm taking this in a bit, because as much as
it's a good conversation, juicy. Can I talk to you about? I just want to share. I'm not sure. I'm not even keeping an eye on the time.
No.
That's good. But I want to talk to you about what you just said before. This is something that I learned a while ago, and I'd love to share it with you, and maybe you'll get something from it, maybe you won't, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or when you said you were talking about you got angry when you're really angry, and then your child was born, and that's your biggest regret.
Yeah.
I had an experience with my first husband. When I left him, I knew that I had to leave my children with him, and that was the hardest thing I have ever had to do in my life. But I knew it with every fibre of my being, and I couldn't even explain to people why I had to do it. I just knew I had to do it. And I cried for a year. Mm-hmm. I would always talk to my kids when I saw them, when they came to see me, and I would accept full responsibility for it. And I shared how I felt. Just because I knew I had to do it didn't mean I felt okay about it. Yeah. I have an amazing relationship with my children, like amazing. Now, this was like 15, 16 years ago. And just as an aside, last year, one of my boys got engaged, and my ex-husband's dad came up to see me. And at the time, I didn't know why I had to leave my kids there. I just knew I had to. And he came up and he said to me, "Thank you. If you hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have a son now. He would have killed himself." Wow. And I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was that I had to do it. It was like something in my heart. And there was other reasons as well. Like for me, there was a big learning and a big lesson for me. There was whatever it was. There was a lot of things involved. But that was beautiful. That was beautiful 15 years later to hear that, because I understood. But I digress. What I wanted to share with you was about 3 years after that, I remember speaking to a man. I was actually at an AA meeting because my second partner was a recovered alcoholic. Funny. He was a recovered alcoholic, and there was an older member there. And I said to him, I can't let go of the feeling that I have around having to do that. I knew I had to do it, and I'm okay with having to do that. Because I trust the God in me. I trust the love in me, and it was so clear. However, I can't let go of my feeling of regret and my feeling of just having to do that. And he said, "That's reverse pride." And I went, "What do you mean?" And he said, "That's reverse pride." And he said, "That will hold you back if you don't let go of it." And I'm like, I never had ever thought of it like that.
I'm sorry, I just started smiling because as soon as you said it, it went bang, hit me like a brick.
Me too. He said it to me and I went bang. Of course, my mind will grab onto things, hook onto them, and they then become something that holds me back if I let it. Yeah. So my regret was the thing my mind was hooking onto, and it was that thing that was holding me back from growing and being more and more myself and being more comfortable with who I was and integrating all of my experiences. That was still holding me back until I went, oh, that's like reverse pride, you know, like I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to hang on to the feeling that I shouldn't have done that, right? And that's going to hold me back. And it was like when he said that to me, I just said, ding. It was like, blessing, such a blessing.
I'm going to have to sit with that.
Sit with it. Took me a while to process that, but it's so, like, I love it. I love all these little subtleties that we discover about ourselves along the way. You know, these experiences from sharing, like it's when we connect with each other and we share these experiences.
Right there is where my biggest growth has come from. Sharing my experiences, getting to know people, and not, you want to talk about footy? I'm not your guy. You want to talk about the news?
I'm not your girl.
But if you want to talk about the news, I'm not your person.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to talk about what's inside here, you want to know how to feel, you want to learn how to communicate, I'm your person. Because that's the love and that's the essence of life for me. And I think we had the money, we had all the good lifestyle, and we're doing great. And I've had some opportunities in my life that aren't great, and they've really hurt. So some of those opportunities I've been through with other people, and there is a significant difference between how I feel about me and how they feel about themselves, which is extremely interesting. So, yeah, I'm still processing.
So back to this topic of addiction.
Yes, sorry, that's where we're at.
I do this all the time. I digress. I can get quite passionate about this. And sometimes I have to say to people, look, if it's too intense, just tell me and we can talk about something else, but I'm going to come back to it, right? I will always come back to it. Sorry, but right now, do you want to share? You go. You look about to say something.
I have the same thing. I'm too much. And that's because I have a different summit to other people. Some people's summit is to run an ultra marathon. Other people's summit is to simply go out the door. When you know and understand and respect that, I've had to pull myself away from a couple of things right now because I know that internally I'm okay. I'm going through things and I'm in people's faces. What do you need? How can I help? What do you need? People don't want help right now. Yeah. People are disengaged. They don't know what to do. You know, and I really think if that's the one thing that everybody can understand and accept the fact that everybody's got a different summit, I think that will change the way you look at everything. Just because you've experienced X, Y, Z in life doesn't mean the person opposite you has, so they can't possibly be living the same life. Everybody's on their own journey. Be present. Learn from them. A broken clock is right twice a day. You can learn, even if every single person you spend time with will teach you something. You'll either learn new things or you will strengthen your opinion that you already have. So it's a win-win no matter which way you go. Spend time with people. So sorry, I'll put that there. Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah.
It is connection. And that's all about, just like you said before, it's like looking at us, you know, and what is it that we're doing? If we're not feeling good, what is it that we need to address in ourselves? What is it that we can change? What little action can we take? You know, if I'm feeling fearful, what can I do to make myself to feel empowered? If I'm feeling sad, what can I do to make myself feel happy? It's like every feeling I have shows me what it is I need to do. And then we have to take the action. And like that actually does get easier. Like you'll agree, the more you practice, it's like you practice it, right? You practice it and it gets easier and it becomes part of the natural way of living. And the connection and the love that you feel just fills you up so much that it is so much easier to move through it, you know. And it's all part of the one great big beautiful life experience, you know, rather than there's that bit there and that bit there and that bit there. And so I think that's it. That's what you're talking about. It's that beautiful connection with people and love, and us actually working on ourselves enough that we can be in that place. And I think you're right. I think we need to wind this up now.
I'm going to wrap it up because I think we need to do this again. I think this
is absolutely. Throw questions at us that we can talk about. You know, like, I think that would be so beautiful, and like just continue this juicy conversation.
Yeah, definitely, and that's part of it. I like, it's funny now. The internet connection is probably great now because we're moving forward. It didn't want us to talk about that. So, but give us questions. If you like what you're hearing, we're obviously in the right place at the right time for you. If you've got a question, put it forward. Don't sit on it, because the sooner you get an answer to that question, you can decide whether or not you like that answer. You don't have to like every answer. You just got to get them, accumulate them, and something will work for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that a conversation around addiction, the people that love people that are challenged with addiction, and even people, really, really worthy conversation to have at this time on our planet. Because I think we need to have a new consciousness around addiction, because the old way of dealing with it hasn't worked. I mean, like, if I looked out in the world and I saw it working, I'd go, yeah, let's do it that way. But I haven't actually seen that it's worked real well.
If anyone is dealing with someone who does have an addiction, I would like us both to leave them with a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
One bit of advice I'm going to give to everybody is Johann Hari is a researcher who has written some amazing books, Chasing the Scream and Lost Connections. A lot of what I do in life is based upon lost connections. Best reads I think you can have for social connection, because I truly believe that that's what makes a difference. If we feel like we belong, we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everything is okay. Validate how you feel, and then do what feels right for you. Like, take the time, like, investigate for yourself, you know, because only you can be responsible for your emotional needs. And when we stop expecting somebody else to meet them, we actually take back our own true power. And it is the most freeing feeling to know that only I can have an impact on my emotional needs. Like, people can influence them, but I get to choose.
Yeah. And choice is everything.
I know you were going to say something great then, Scott, but you froze. Would you mind saying it again?
No, I reckon the universe has said that we've had enough and we'll get back to it another day. So, listen, thank you to everyone for watching.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Lisa.
I so love our conversations. They're just so awesome.
I will say this quickly and then I'll get off. This is how the world changes. This is how things get better. Don't be afraid to talk about things that aren't, you know, it's just life. So,
yeah,
life. Thanks anyone for watching, and give us some questions.
Yeah. Thank you.